Hello, everyone. It's Bill. I was instructed to talk to you guys about psychology and biology of stress, how we deal with stress, proper ways to deal with stress. We want to know the HR wants you guys to have an understanding why popular theories of happiness are not actually well supported by the science of psychology. We're going to review a couple videos. We're going to talk about some positive things to do to deal with your stress. First, we need to know what stress is. And stress, we can say quite simply that stress is a reaction, that's a physiological response that occurs when an organism fails to respond appropriately to emotional or physical threats. Now, stress can be both positive and negative. If you're going through a wedding, for example, the preparations for the wedding can be stressful. The death of a spouse can also be stressful. Happy and sad stress don't differentiate in what they do to your body. In your body, with stress, your autonomic nervous system is affected by stress in that the stress causes the hypothalamus to secrete information to the pituitary and adrenal glands, which then secrete hormones that cause different things in your body. Things like blood pressure being raised, sugars being affected. You can have things with your heart, your arteries, constrictions in your heart. Stress can do a number on you physically. So when we look at stress, we think, well, what do we do? Well, there's a couple things you can look at. You can look at optimism, looking at something that's bad and trying to keep a positive mindset, where you say, well, I'm going through a hard time, but it's going to get better. Self-efficacy, which is being able to control your surroundings. So when you're going through a hard time, just realize that you can change certain things about what you're going through. And that helps us become more resilient. Hardiness is when we look at what we've done in the past that's been effective, and we use those tools in the present. It's important to manage stress because of its dangers physically and mentally. Not only can you go through a heart attack, you can have a stroke. Physically, you can be very limited, and it could also kill you. Mentally, you can have a nervous breakdown. It can cause issues with relationships. It can do a number on you, both physically and mentally. In our line of work, we see that stress comes up when we don't meet our deadlines. The deadlines are important because the customer needs the product. So in order for us to get the product out, we need to make the deadline. When it doesn't get met, then the boss comes down on us, which causes stress. So what I've done to deal with stress is I've decided that I'm going to look at the situation at hand and deal with that stressor in and of itself. Now, in the past, I've done things like push down my feelings, let the stress go, undetected or unworked. I've done things like smoking, things of that nature, all negative reactions to stress or dealing with stress. So we're going to try to look at the positives. The positives would be positives way of dealing with stress successfully would be exercising, looking at a person who is close to you and gaining comfort in that friendship. Realize that stress isn't too much for us. We need to understand that, and we need to manage stress by doing some of the things that I spoke about. We need to just stay on the positive line with optimism, which will in turn cause hardiness. Dr. Seligman the former president of the American Psychological Association and a professor at the University of Pennsylvania, did a video for TED Talks in which he talked about positive psychology. In his video, he used data from long-term research. He spoke about the placebo method, where they've tried different things with people, and they got research data from that. Dr. Seligman said that positive psychology is kind of a new thing. What goes on with what goes on with positive psychology is sometimes people tend to look at things that aren't scientific. So what Dr. Seligman talks about is there's 3 types of happy life: the pleasure life, the life of engagement, and life of meaning. The pleasure life looks for happiness through pleasure, amplifying pleasure, as many pleasures as one can get. This is the fast and furious lifestyle. The life of engagement, this is where somebody gets happiness from activities in their life. Athletes, people who exercise on a regular basis, things of that nature. Life of meaning, this is where somebody finds out what their highest strengths are and works on their highest strengths. He speaks about a full life. It's described as one that achieved happiness, with the pleasure life being called the whipped cream with the cherry on top. The full life is where you have a life of engagement and a life of meaning, and the pleasures are just the extra. Dr. Seligman believes that technology is something that can make people happy. Entertainment can help with happiness. Right now, I'm videotaping this on YouTube on an iPad. Without this kind of technology, we would be back where we were before, with more stressors and more difficult ways of doing things. I would have to use a video camera and figure out a way to get the videotape sent to somebody, etc. The video that Dr. Seligman spoke on was done on a Saturday morning, he said, and it was semi-formal, but it was sound in what it spoke. Dr. Seligman has high credentials as the former president of the APA. Him speaking on a subject such as psychology is respected, as he ran the governing body for psychology. On the other hand, we have a video called The Secret. The Secret was a video that was put together to talk about being positive and having a fulfilling life. There was very little scientific base on The Secret. The Secret speaks about the laws of attraction. This is where wanting something good and focusing on that good and dwelling on that good will eventually cause that good to come in. Positive and negative implications of that video are they help. Some people may look at that and think it's a genie in the bottle. I want $1 million. I want $1 million. Dwell on it. Think on it. Obsess over it. I'm going to get it. Well, it might not work out that way. The New Era of Psychology by Dr. Seligman was a more scientifically stabilized video, whereas The Secret was more of The Secret was more of a how would we say, a self-help type of video that had little scientific basis. It did have some people with credentials, but they didn't have the same clout, I would say, as Dr. Seligman. So throughout the video, I hope you understand a little bit about stress, and I hope you understand what causes it, or what it does to your body, some of the things we can do to manage it, and I hope that you understand a little bit about the soundness of psychology in its thought process towards stress. Again, if you need any help, we have the employee assistance line where you can call 1-800-HELP-NOW, and there's people there to help you deal with what you're going through. Thank you and have a good day.